So the song that I'm channeling is Wild Child. I'll link it below. So I see this emphasis on, I see you walking down the path, your chosen path, your life path, okay? And there's an emphasis on dancing down the path. You are a wild child, you are a free spirit, and there's a point in your life where you have been conditioned to the point that you've been walking your path, and that's perfectly fine. That's perfectly necessary. That was, at the time, it was for you to understand certain aspects of your life, for you to kind of not be distracted by the dancing, not be distracted by this wild inhibition that you have, this internal truth of you to be this free spirit, right? It's being free with the understanding or the discipline of obedience to a higher source, rather than the freedom in the sense of kind of no structure and no moral code. It was necessary for you to kind of be regulated in some way in order for you to dance freely and safely down your path. And that's this situation that I'm getting now. I'm also hearing the word security and security deposit. And so it's this feeling here where there's this question. It's almost a question. It's like, you know, when I'm seeing it from both perspectives. It's like a security deposit in the sense of you being the renter, right? Like someone renting some sort of space and saying, well, am I going to get my security deposit back? What do I need to do in order to get my security deposit back? So again, that's a self-regulation, right? Because you're so focused on that safety deposit, but it's only a minuscule amount, right? Because I'm seeing it really as an office space. So it's like the potential of what you can create and what you can do and what you can become, what you can make a name for yourself, right? In that particular space. And they're emphasizing, you know, it's not about even just the name that you become. It's like you becoming really just this creative, free flowing spirit. And so are you going to regulate yourself because you want that security deposit? You're going to limit yourself because you want something that doesn't even really necessarily coincide. Of course, you need that practical aspect. You need to survive in this world, right? You need to be able to pay your bills. But how does that interfere with your creative, wild spirit, right? Those two things do not relate. That's oil and water, right? And so there's an emphasis on that, of saying you need to pay attention to where your thoughts are guiding you in this, because there is a limitation here, because you are falling in some ways to that conformity of walking the path when you really want to dance. And it's okay now in this time of your life to be able to dance, because you know, you've learned that you cannot dance all the way off into the bushes. You can't dance, you know, all of these different, it's not that you can't, you just know that it's not going to be good for you, right? So there's a difference here, right? When you were going down and kind of being disciplined into walking down the path, then they're saying, okay, you know what? The reason why is because you haven't learned that there is potential danger beyond the path, into the bushes and all these different things that could potentially happen. You have to be able to prepare yourself for these things. And so you've learned those things of what that could look like for you. And you've also learned your capabilities, right? So you're not going to go beyond your own capabilities in order to injure yourself. Yeah, maybe there might be a little bit of problems here and there. You know, you might slip up, hurt your ankle, whatever kind of thing. Don't really want to say that, but metaphorically speaking, there could be little hiccups here and there, but it's things that you can obviously recover from, and you know how to recover from them now, right? Because you were guided down this path to kind of see what that would look like to heal those particular things, right? And so they're saying you need to move, you need to go towards this opportunity, you need to start kind of being open, being available to this type of it's a type of love. I don't know if this is self-love. It is. Whatever the end thing is that you're kind of worried about, there's a worry here, it's a concern, it's almost like a fixation. What it boils down to is self-love, right? Because however that particular thing responds to, it's like, I'm seeing you as like the stimuli, right? Like you're stimulating that thing, right? You're responsible for that thing. You can only control this, but then that reacts. It's a reaction, right? And you don't know exactly how that particular thing is going to react because you can't control that particular thing. You can control how you stimulate it, but how that reacts is totally independent. It's like, it's independent. Do you get what I'm saying? It's like if it was another person, or if I'm the reason why I'm not even using a person is because the way that it's showing me is an orb. It looks like a jellyfish, right? So like that's just the way it's saying, is like you are like everything outside of the jellyfish. And you can kind of do all kinds of different things to this jellyfish, but the jellyfish is still autonomous in its own way, right? So that's why I'm kind of avoiding using a person or like some sort of like anything else. And they're saying, you know, it's about relaxing your mind. You have to relax your mind in this because again, there's wasted thought here. The security deposit is wasted thought, right? Figure out where you were wasting your thoughts, because it could be productive, right? Like for me, sometimes I find myself doing this and it's so ridiculous, and this kind of falls perfectly in line with this. So this is a really good example, is because I have a lot of decks, right? Tarot decks, and I don't use them. And so sometimes I'll be like, okay, you know what? I need to just start using them because they're just sitting there. And a way to motivate myself to use them, not motivate, but like to keep thinking about using them, is the more I use it, then the cost per use goes down, because let's say it's $50. So then if I use it 50 times, now it's $1 per use. And so it's like a way of kind of saving money, or like not saving money, but just like getting a really good value, like good deal out of it, which is so wrong. Like it's like actually very gross to think about, because that is so misaligned with spirituality and like who I am. But what about my experiences in my life that kind of created that to be something that could potentially motivate me, right? Like I have to keep myself in check with that, because I'm like, no, do not do that. Like obviously I bought them because, you know, I was called to them for whatever particular reason. If I don't feel called to use them, then don't use them. But it's like, you know, I can be a penny pincher at times. Like I'm very, something in my eye, sorry. Like I'm very much someone who like really wants to be aware of how I'm spending my money, right? Or like how I'm spending, just things like that, you know. And it's because I did grow up, like, you know, like in independently. When I grew up, I had to rely on myself, and that was a very big part of me having freedom in life, was to have financial freedom. And so it's little things like that that'll kind of get in the way and distract me. In my opinion, I think that's a distraction. It's a waste. That's complete waste. I already have the decks. Why isn't it, you know, use them or don't use them, you know, that's it. And so that's a very, very, very good example of what I'm trying to convey here, of something that you're doing. And these could be thoughts about it. I mean, it's a perfect example. It's whatever's going on here. That's perfect. Okay, so enough about how perfectly I described that. You have to detox. That's what I'm saying, is like of those thoughts, of that energy, because everything I just said, but also Also because like they're showing law of attraction, and they're showing intention setting, things like that, and how like I'm hearing the word convoluted, right? So they're explaining how like you know how sometimes it can kind of get convoluted in the sense that maybe the whole intention setting of setting an intention, some people, I'm not going to say you're doing that, but like some people will set an intention that is contingent on another individual or another factor, right? Like let's say it was intention setting about your business and how successful your business could be. Well, destiny can only take you so far, right? Like maybe you're not particularly destined to have like this huge kind of thing, and you're setting your intention towards that when that's not truly what's in your heart. Like that's you kind of had to get to the root of it. Like why is it that you really want this huge successful business, or if you want a particular like relationship or kind of love, like why are you desiring that, right? And so it's kind of breaking it apart and to kind of understand the why behind it in order to properly set your intention, right? Like let's say you want a successful business, let's say that's what it is. Then it's saying, well, I intend to follow my heart, or I intend to follow my creative spirit, my creative mind, my creative gifts in order to share this with the world, right? Like I want to be able to share this. I want to be able to express myself freely. I want to be more of myself, that kind of thing. Or if it's a particular relationship, it's like, what are you desiring in that relationship, right? These are all like very typical, like 2 examples, right? But it could be something completely different. I'm really not, because the way I'm seeing is the jellyfish. So yeah, it's not specific for me. But then and so let me just complete the sentence. So with the relationship, it's like, well, I intend to be as honest and vulnerable, you know, I intend to be honest and vulnerable in my connections and relationships with people. I intend to see the best in people and you know, whatever, I don't know, be aware. I don't know. Okay, anyway, I was gonna make a joke, but YouTube will be mad. Okay, so anyway, so I'm also seeing like a moss, right? A rock, and how it's like it's showing me like it's rolling down and then up a hill, so it's like gaining momentum to go up the hill, right? And they're showing me an example of like effort. The effort that you put in prior is going to pay dividends later, right? So that rock could not go up the hill starting at the bottom of the hill. It had to go from one part in order to go down to gain that speed to catapult it up over the other hill. And they're saying, like, you know, imagine that moss is sitting there for so long and it's gathering so much like slime and moss, and how that is going to be added weight to the rock, which is actually a good thing. So they're saying that but the weight is over. That's the thing, is like the weight is over. So, and then they're saying like it's like a bell. They're ringing a bell, like ding 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 ding. Like I got it. You guys, or this is one of the keys here, where it's almost this feeling that I'm getting where I don't know why I'm laughing. It's not funny. The situations, I mean, it's funny, but it's not actually funny. I mean, it is actually funny, but it's not funny, you know? Anyway, it's not too late. You didn't do anything wrong, obviously. I mean, I think you know that, and I think you know it's not too late, but it's like, that's not baggage. Like whatever this moss is, or that slime, is not baggage, right? That's not something that you're gonna have to like, oh, okay, well now I have to kind of get myself back to the starting point. What starting point are you talking about? Some starting point from the past? You know what I mean? Like that was the starting point for back then. You're at a different chapter in your life. This is totally new. This is totally different. You can't compare yourself to something like that because it's not relevant. You're at a new starting point. This is a new chapter. And back then, did you know that was your starting point? No, you didn't. So you have to look at it in that way too. Like you're not seeing it for what it is in that way, but it's not possible for you to see it that way. You can look at it in all different perspectives, but it's not possible, because the perspective that you're at, you're kind of bound to that perspective. And that's the way it is for everyone. Actually, that's what they're saying. Like, that's just the way it is for everyone. That's something that's beyond human perception for everyone. They're saying for everyone. So even like the most enlightened being, it's still coming from a perception of like you're this like self. You cannot unbound yourself from self, if that makes sense. Like, even that's what I'm saying. Like, even with enlightened people, you know, and then it's like there's just no self, all this kind of stuff. But there is still there is still you. Is that making sense? And then I just saw like lines. Okay, they just show me like the world has like all these lines. Okay, I don't know. I think I posted this video. I don't know why it does this, but like I don't even know what, I need to look up what ley lines actually are. It's like something to do with, I don't even know, how do people discover ley lines? I don't understand. But it like puts me in this, it's not a trance, but I just kind of like pause, like my brain just kind of pauses on ley lines, and it just repeats like ley lines, ley lines, ley lines. Like it's like, it kind of is a trance, I guess, but it's, I don't know how to distinguish the differences. And usually when that happens, but I'm like trying to regulate myself, because I don't want to just like creep you out and be like ley lines, but that's what's happening in my head. And usually that it's like it's like I'm like struggling, like my mind, like it's trying to perceive something that's happening, like it's like bigger than like what I can perceive, right? Like I can translate. And so it's like beyond myself, there's like layers of self, you know, like layers of me, like higher self and all these other things. And it's like trying to kind of make sense of it in order to translate it, in order for me to perceive it, in order for me to say it. And so it keeps telling me, and it's showing me like lines everywhere, like lines, like the world, like lines. And it's like charted. And then they bring me back to this video I did a while back, like soul trackers, and how I feel like they're following like these lines, right? There's like specific lines. And then they're showing me how like atoms, like, you know, we're made up of like little atoms and everything. And so it's like, but it's a different layer. So it's kind of like when you're writing, you know, or what is it called? Like the graphing paper. It's like graphing paper, right? So like you can draw on the graphing paper. So there's like two different things, like the pencil, right? The pencil on the paper, like those, and then the ink on the paper. Like it's like different layers, right? But it looks like one. And so they're emphasizing that. So there's that. Okay. I don't know if my brain. Okay. Why are we, okay. You're on the right path. You're on the right track, okay? And I just heard like you're gonna be surprised at the presence that awaits you. Like at your arrival, upon your arrival, you're gonna be surprised at the presence that awaits you. I don't know if it's presence or presence CE, or, well, I mean, the whole thing's spelled differently, but physical present, or the presence of something. Like just take the opportunity, to just keep going, or to begin to go. and setting your intention to be open, to be vulnerable, to be honest, to be truthful. Didn't I say honest and truthful? Love. Be honest to love. I mean, be honest about love also. And acknowledge, there's something about luck. It's like, acknowledge that you have luck, like you are lucky, but distinguish between luck and what's luck versus it's not what's necessarily like what was presented to you, because I don't see it necessarily as destiny. I see it as like your higher choices. Like, you have a range of what you can potentially do and perceive in your life as far as like, you know, intentions, right? Like, that's where intention matters, is because you have that range, right? So if you're kind of living at a low, and your range of destiny is still propelling you this way, how much are you kind of deviating from your highest potential, right? So it's distinguishing between what's pure luck, and they're showing luck, and then they shift my entire perspective, and they're saying luck is if you are that jellyfish, and then the stimuli, or what stimulate, I don't know, whatever, how that affects you. That's the luck. Because then they're showing another example where I have this acquaintance, and she's this free spirit, and she's a very nice person. She's kind of gangster, but she's also a very, very good person. She's very gangster and very good. I don't know how this, but she's, anyway, but she will literally like follow her heart with everything. I mean, not everything, but it's like, let me think of an example. Like, the examples I'm getting is like, one time she went to the grocery store and she bought items at the store, and then she like later ran into someone who needed groceries. It was like her neighbor or something, and they brought up the fact that they needed these particular groceries. So she listened to herself, she listened to spirit. She was like, God told me that I was gonna buy these groceries I needed, and someone would need it. And sure enough, it was this person, like my neighbor or something, that needed these specific groceries, right? Or she'll like bring money, like $200 or something, or $250, $20. I don't know why I'm specifying amounts, but she'll bring money, and then she'll find people. She'll be like, God told me to give you this money. Like, it's like it's interesting because like I'm just being shown like all these different perspectives of how you can look at her. It's like, oh, okay, well, you said she was a gangster, so it's like, is it her like conscious speaking to her, like, oh, I better do these good deeds because it's like to kind of pay for things that I may not be doing so great? Or is it, you know, her listening to what kind of spirit is like speaking to her, you know, or all these kinds of different things, right? And then it gives me this rushing energy, right? It like rushes everything past, and it's this powerful message of saying, but what does it matter? Like, she's doing something very good for other people, and she's intentionally feeling like she's following what she believes in that moment. Like, I think in that moment she's purely more of herself than she's ever been, right? And she's unafraid of what people are going to think. I mean, that's so brave to go up to a random individual and say those things, or to even just to give them those things, right? She doesn't publicize this kind of stuff on social media. She didn't take pictures of people and like hand them these things, right? But it's like, do you see, like, it doesn't matter, right? Like, what anyone thinks, it literally does not matter. The only way it would matter is if she let that bother her, if she let that offend her, if she let that affect her. And what does that say? Like, if that's really God speaking to her, right? Which I believe it is. If that's God speaking to her and she's disobeying God because of some worldly person who doesn't know her own journey, you know, doesn't know her path, doesn't know anything about her. They could be lost themselves, they could be limited themselves, right? They could be listening to something else themselves, right? So who are you obeying now? You're obeying someone of flesh rather than spirit itself. So you have to take that opportunity to really tune into yourself and see what actually matters here for you. What's actually important here for you. It's important that you dance free spirit. They're calling you a free spirit. It's important that you dance free spirit. That's what I'm hearing. And then I saw offbeat, the word offbeat, and there's then they showed how that it's this new, it's a new wave. Like, if you were to dance and you were afraid to dance offbeat, then you're conforming. But if you threaten conformity by being yourself and dancing to your own beat, to your own rhythm, to the rhythm unseen, right? And they want to specify that because obviously you can't see music when you play music. You can feel the music, but like the way it's showing is like you can, right? Like music resonates in this world. Like it does create this pattern, and they're showing me all those lines again, and it's like it follows, like it touches, it creates something on this graph, right? Like it does that, but there's an unseen beyond that, right? It's like the pen that hasn't reached the paper. And when you come from that angle, which you don't always, it's like tapping into that. When you tap into that, then that brings that power. It's kind of like, and then it's bringing me to the momentum of the rock, right? Like that brings the momentum of the hand to the paper to create the new rhythm, to create something that hasn't been created because it's unique to you, it's special to you, it's important to you. And in that creates a new conformity for people to conform to. It's like you're the leader, right? You're teaching others through your example that you can dance, but then because they are conformed to their own conditionings, then they learn to dance the way you dance. And in that, there will be dancers who realize they can go into the bushes. Some of them might have different, skill sets, right? But it's the example that you set that you can. It's like through discipline, you can learn. It's like having a moral code, and then you get what I'm saying. And how that, and then seven's important here. I don't know if it's 7 o'clock or like the number 7, or it's like 7. What's 7 out of 12? What's 7 out of 12? Something about 9, the number 9. something about 9, maybe like and it feels like 7 to 9, like I think it's a time or like a date. And then I'm just being drawn. I don't know if you can hear, I don't know if those are cicadas or not, but they're so loud. And how like loud nature is. And then they're comparing it to like us, like we're very loud too, like humans, and like what we've created is very loud, but nature is extremely loud. And so it's this shift in silence, right? Like you kind of learn to drown out one or the other. Wherever you live, if you live out in nature, usually you can drown that out better than you can drown out the city sounds. Or if you live in the city, it's easier to drown that out than it is to the nature, right? It's this big perspective shift that's occurring for you. And then it's just, I don't know, this is like a really powerful time for you, I feel, where destiny, where fate, where good fortune all kind of enmeshes in itself, all because you have chosen to kind of reframe, reintroduce certain things in your life, reframe certain things in your life. And also the thought just disappeared from my mind, but it's because I'm seeing this example of a relationship now where again it's this feeling of, okay, you know what, where are my wasted thoughts going, where's my wasted energy, what is my wasted time going, and does that coincide with who I truly am or what I truly believe in? It's that whole intention setting type of thing, and really being aware of that. And it's purifying you, right? The detox and the purification. It's allowing you to kind of drain that out of you. Also, your lymphatic system might be significant here. Maybe do some sort of like lymphatic massages to really kind of also detox that. That's what I'm saying. Let's pull a card. I went to reach this and okay, and it's Archangel Michael, and then this 3 of Michael came out, and it says, release the past, you will grow from this situation, time heals all wounds. You have created this situation. You have the power to change it. Honor and trust your feelings. And I just noticed like this horse or unicorn. So I noticed when I said unicorn, the unicorn looks sad. And then I heard, like, what's a unicorn what's a Pegasus without its wings? It's a unicorn. And then I noticed that this has wings. And then I noticed here that this person's looks distraught, right? And it feels like you're helping someone. With honor and trust your feelings too. It feels like you're helping someone out by honoring and trusting your feelings. Ultimately, whatever this has to do with, and it could be a multitude of things, when you honor and trust your feelings, it's going to significantly help someone out in your life. It's going to be extremely meaningful. So when you go back to the example of my friend, an acquaintance, she has potentially, I believe she did, but I'm just saying potentially because it's not like I asked anyone. I didn't go find someone and like ask them like how did they change your life? But it feels like it's going to significantly change someone's life. It's very important that you really listen to yourself and don't regulate yourself in that way. And don't be shy, okay? And you creating this situation, you have the power to change it. You can give this Pegasus its wings back. Okay, I don't know if you took it in this scenario. I don't think you did, but you can share your wings, because I feel like it's not necessary for you to have these wings. Like, you're so happy here being an artist and painting, and it's like when you like you're really focused on painting, and so there's a part of you that hasn't quite noticed that the unicorn started feeling sad because you're painting another part. What in the world? You're painting the frame. Oh, no, you're not. It looked like you were painting the frame. I don't know what that is then. Oh my gosh, I thought you were painting the frame. Okay. I was like, what does this actually mean? Okay, my bad. But it does feel like you're not seeing that right now. You're not looking, and because the unicorn is sitting still for you, its mind's kind of beginning to wander. And so it's this feeling of like what you can give, what you can provide, what you can do is going to be so meaningful. That's the life-changing for another individual. That's what it feels. It's absolutely life-changing. Releasing the past, you will grow from this situation. Time heals all wounds. It brings me back to the reading that I did the other day about my friend, and I specifically said something about time healing wounds and needing time and all of this. And I don't know if that really relates that much. I mean, it could, but I do kind of feel like it's this kind of feeling. It brings me back where she's gone. Like, my friend's passed away, right? But she's left as her incarnation here. She has left a lasting impact, right? And I am connecting with her, and I feel, it kind of gives me a like frame point, or a starting point. What is the framework? No. Anyway, it gives me like a frame of reference. That's something, a frame of reference when connecting with her, because I see her as who she was in this life, right? Like, that's kind of, and I identify her energy, and she has shaped my life in some way, right? Like, every person that you've ever kind of come across is in some way has shaped your life. And then they're showing me this as an example, is like when people are kind of gang stalked or something. I'm not saying people, okay? So, but like, if you're actually any sort of like thing, then they can implant into society people that will enter your subconscious, right? And affect you in that way. So they're showing that as an example because that is significant. It will affect you. These people who are crossing your paths do affect you in some way. And so you're leaving a lasting impact in this world, irregardless of if you like on the range, like irregardless of the range of which you choose. The fact that you're here, you're leaving an impact. And they're bringing up this thought that I was kind of thinking about, how what we all have in common here is that we're here, right? Like, yeah, we're all gonna die and all this stuff, but like the fact that we're all here, that's what we have in common. It's not about, we don't have in common why we're here. We don't have in common our path or anything like that, right? Some people are here by choice. Some here are for ascension. Some here are descending. Some are here because they're bound here for different reasons. Some, like, we could be from all different origins or all different incarnations and reincarnations and experience, like, everything can vary. Some people are here from such higher realms. Some here are from parallel realms, right? But the thing we have in common is we're here. And I was even thinking about how, like, while this world is, you know, you think about the loss of an individual that may be close to you, and how that may be so painful in the moment, and how grief will kind of pull you closer to spirit or pull you further from spirit, all kinds of different things. And we willingly, for those of you who chose to be here, right? But it's like, irregardless, like, we are experiencing those things. Like, this is such an intense experience to be a human being. It's intense, all the things we experience. And so it's just like really fascinating to me. Like, people are so weird. Like, we're such weirdos. That's so weird. Like, being human is weird. This world is so weird in a good way. And like very beautiful and very funny and just like really exciting. So anyway, I'm seeing that being brought up here because it doesn't matter necessarily like how where you kind of land on here, because you're going to leave an impact. It's and you have been leaving an impact. But your ancestors want you to know, ancestors of spirit, ancestors of this incarnation, that you are now the ancestor. You are now the ancestor. And they're watching you, they're proud of you, they're kind of, I'm hearing for some like waiting on bated breath. But it's in a playful way, like we're waiting on bated breath to see what you're gonna do, see what you choose to do, because your opportunity is something so drastic in comparison. It's almost inconceivable because of the opportunities that lie here directly for you in this incarnation in comparison to prior and everywhere else. And so and then I just felt like my heart, it wasn't really, it was kind of like palpitations, but not really. It was like cracking open. It feels like, oh, like cracking open in a good way. I think you're going to be extraordinarily proud of yourself, and surprised. You're going to surprise yourself and be very proud of yourself when you reflect on yourself in this life and beyond. I don't know why that's being emphasized here, but it is. I think also because it's kind of your higher self, and everyone's saying, we know you're going to choose to dance. We know you're going to choose, because it's in your spirit. If a wild child can only be conformed for so long, you know, what happens when the child gets too big and can just, I just punch myself, but like a flail around like that. So I think that's probably part of your destiny, is to just be wild and untamed and free. So peace out.